and that great speech. I just ought to say me too and get down. I want to thank Senator Kathleen Bynum for being here. I want to thank all the people who are part of the Obama for America team here in Wisconsin. We need you. We need all of you to join that team. If everybody in this room would give 4 hours between now and next Tuesday, we would get Barack Obama 4 more years. Ron did a very good job of laying out what this election's about, but I want to go into just a little detail on just a couple of issues because it's a close race and I think it might make a difference if you knew what you could say to other people. I think it matters. I think it matters enormously to the future of this country. And I'd feel better if you sent Tammy Baldwin to the Senate.
Yeah. That's right!
First of all, Ron was kind enough to say that we gave you 4 surplus budgets. And in the last 32 years, since the anti-government, top-down, trickle-down, tax cuts for the wealthiest Americans is the answer to every problem. We got growth, cut taxes for the wealthy. If we're in a recession, cut taxes for the wealthy. If you get a cold, cut taxes. We never ran large structural deficits in the whole history of the United States in peacetime, in times of economic growth, until the government would mess up a 2-car crowd, got in control of the Republican Party.
Yeah.
They put ideology over evidence, illusion over arithmetic. And they put trickle down over middle class America.
That's right.
And giving poor people an honorable way to work their way into the middle class. Now, I'm thinking about this in a whole different way today because, as you know, Hillary and I make our home in New York. We live about 20 miles north of the city, and our neighborhood's not in good shape tonight.
That's right.
Most of the people in the little town where we live don't have their electricity back. My neighbor is a wonderful 70-year-old devout Catholic layman and a pediatric cardiac surgeon who strongly supports the health care reform bill that President He and his wife are wonderful neighbors. Hillary and I just love them. They lost all the trees in their yard, and I saw a picture of these beautiful red trees, down, but they're healthy. They weren't hurt. You probably saw the neighborhood in Queens that lost 80 to 100 homes in the fire. My friend Dan Malloy, the governor of Connecticut, was talking on television last night when I spent the night in Denver, and I watched him, and I watched all these little Connecticut towns that I know so well with still, 2 days after the storm, water waist high running down the main streets of town. You've seen the suffering of the people of New Jersey, and it's funny, it sort of brought Governor Christie and President Obama together.
Working together. That's right.
And I think Governor Cuomo and Mayor Bloomberg, they're all doing a good job. Why? Because there is not a Democratic or a Republican way to help people deal with a flood and a storm. And
That's right. That's right.
Because you just say, what is the problem? How can we minimize human damage here? How can we help people get back on their feet? How can we get going again? And people sit down and work. That's my life now, my foundation. I get support from Democrats, Independents, Republicans for the work I do in America around the world, and I swear to goodness, there are some people who are really big supporters of mine. I do not know what their political party is. Why? Because we sit down, identify a problem we want to attack, and go to work, and if it's not working, we stop and do something else, and we keep going, and we keep score by how many people's lives are improved. That is the scorecard.
Yes!
So here's what I think about this presidential race. There are really 3 big issues. Which candidate, Obama or Romney, is more likely to really restore a badly battered middle class with more jobs and rising incomes and giving poor people an honorable way to work their way into it. That's very important. Yeah, Obama. It's very important. People ask me all the time, what were you proudest of in your economic record? And I don't say 23 million new jobs. I don't say 4 surplus budgets. I say 100 times as many people worked their way from poverty into the middle class as in the previous 12 years. Second question. Which candidate is more likely to build a 21st century version of the prosperity we have?
Barack Obama, hands down.
We need new jobs, and we need to train and educate people to do those new jobs that will bring us into the rest of the world and preserve our national strength so that we can be a force for peace and freedom and prosperity throughout the world. The answer to that is
Barack Obama!
And finally, which candidate is more likely to keep us all going forward together? You know, the founding fathers said, they said a lot of things that were beautiful. I get tickled when I hear all these far-right guys claim to know the intent of the founders. I just know this. In the Declaration of Independence, they pledged their lives, their fortunes, their sacred honor to form a more perfect union. Not to find new and clever ways to keep us angry at each other, to get us to wake up every day, torn up and upset, to demonize each other. Here's why I'm for President Obama. I'm for President Obama because, as Ron said, he ran for office against some pretty stiff competition, including the Vice President and the Secretary of State. All 3 of them, and the other people running, talked about what America needed to do to modernize its economy. Before that crash, the economy was so weak that on the day before the crash, we'd only had 2.6 million private sector jobs. On the day before the crash, median family income was $2,000 lower than it was the day I left office, after you adjust for inflation. On the day before the crash, healthcare costs had gone up to 3 times the rate of inflation. So they all worked on this, and they talked about what they would do. And that's what then Senator Obama did. And then boom, 6 weeks before the election, we had the biggest crash since the Great Depression. So he gets in office, and the first thing he's got to do is stop the slide into depression and put a floor under that, which he did. And by the way, you have been paid back for all the money the taxpayers spent on the financial institutions
And
plus
some,
interest,
then some.
because he made sure he would do. And we started crawling our way out. So what's happened in the last 32 months? 5.2 million jobs, twice as many as in the previous administration before the crash. Manufacturing jobs growing, biggest drop in unemployment in a year in 17 years, a 4-year high in housing starts and automobile purchases,
big deal.
and 250,000 more of our fellow citizens making cars instead of 1 million people losing their jobs, which is exactly what would have happened if Governor Romney's policy.
Right. It's just amazing.
All our elections are about the future.
Yeah.
So let's look at their arguments. Near as I can tell, here's the Romney argument.